Hey guys, EDDBUD here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing the numbers game, a comparison video between the Adidas Boston 9 and the Hoka One One Clifton 7. So a matchup today between super high stack cushioning, road feel response, wider landing area, and more conventional subtlety. And price, of course. Got to compare the prices. Well, I think they're about the same. The Boston 9 coming in at 120 Earth credits, and an extra 5 Earth credits on top of that for the Clifton 7. Which will come up trumps? Let's dive in. Adidas state that there's a 9.5mm drop on the Boston 9 and a more conservative 5mm drop on the Clifton 7. 276 grams in my UK size 11.5 with the Boston 9 and a mighty 306 grams in my UK size 11.5 for the Clifton 7. Let's do upper first. So certainly more of a present upper here in the Hoka One One Clifton 7. Not a hefty upper, I would say, in comparison to something like the Triumph 17, but much thicker than that on the Boston 9. It feels like there's a couple of layers here around most parts of your foot. I think if you're running into more humid type conditions and climate on a regular basis, then the Boston 9 upper might suit you a little better. It is that little bit thinner, though not being a one-piece upper, the actual material itself is far, far thinner than that on the Clifton 7. Loads more padding in terms of the tongue and also around the heel section in the Clifton 7, and a more traditional lace loop to stop that tongue from sliding around. As I say, loads more padding in the Hoka around the heel, and of course you've got the pointy heel flare as well. Some people love it, some people do not. I don't really have much of an opinion on it, but I think you need to watch your fingers. Moisture-wise, I have experienced the Hoka upper soaking up a lot more water and moisture across the distance of a run. I'd say it's on par with some disposable kitchen towels that you might purchase. On the long run last week, the Adidas was actually very good in terms of moisture. Did pick up a little bit, not a huge amount. There's by far less padding here in the tongue and in the heel area. Much more conservative in terms of the padding on offer. You may remember from my long run video focusing on this shoe that I did experience some issues with the tongue sliding down the shoe. I think I might have alleviated that now by using some of the, what I deem are ventilation holes down the sides of the tongue. If they are for putting your laces through, then okay, but it's not apparent that that's what they're for. The Adidas upper seems a little softer to me, a little more refined. A less is more type of feel in this shoe. I'd say lockdown is great in both shoes. I've experienced no problems in that aspect. I would say for me there's a little extra upper in terms of height wise in the toe box on both shoes, but if I went down half a size to an 11, I'd feel that the length just wouldn't be there. I'm going to give the upper crown to the Adidas this time round for being slightly more breathable, a little bit more refined for me. Midsole next. Very different vibes here in the two shoes. There's lots of EVA here in the Clifton 7 for a more dull squash, but far more bounce back here in the use of boost within the Boston 9. People often malign the use of boost within Adidas shoes. Yeah, it's old tech, they say it's been around for ages now, but the implementation here does make for a much faster shoe for me than the Hoka Clifton 7. A much more reasonable stack height here in the Adidas. I think that high stack heights are something that suits some people and not others. I'm finding that I actually prefer lower stack height shoes at the moment. Certainly where I've been improving my form and up in the miles recently, the lower stack height shoes just seem to work better for me. But I'm not everyone, I'm just one man. Not sure what that means, but I think the Boston 9 has the chops over the shorter distances and those long runs. I found the support, the fit and the underfoot feel ideal for a large variety of different types of run. I'm enjoying the Clifton 7 over those daily type efforts at the more moderate speeds, but I do feel that rocket action in the midsole and outsole do change my running form and gait a little bit. It does adjust and dictate your stride somewhat, and that may not be for everybody. The Endorphin series doesn't seem to do that to me as well. It's really weird. It doesn't have the same effect. Maybe it's the angles or something of the rocker, but speed roll technology does feel quite different to that implemented within the Hoka shoes. Certainly a more dense underfoot feel in the Clifton 7. Great for me at daily paces, but if I want to pick up the pace a little bit more, didn't feel quite so comfortable, I guess. I think if I'm going to pick up the speed and I want to do some tempo work or even some intervals, it's going to have to be the Boston 9 from Adidas. This one takes it for midsole this time round. Outsole now. It's not holding up too bad, this one. I love the Hoka Clifton 7 on gravel and some loose stone topped cement. Great grip and good push off. And so far, it's seen far less wear than the Hoka One One Rincon did last year. I shredded that one up in no time at all. Got a feeling it's going to hold up better in terms of durability than that shoe. Maybe they've changed the compound of the rubber. Who knows? Hoka, let me know. You know I've been waxing lyrical about the Continental rubber on Adidas shoes recently. The Adidas is exemplary in terms of traction and grip and toe off as well. Just feels great. You always feel safe and secure as you place your foot down. The rubber's really well placed and works very well in wet conditions along with the dry surfaces. At the moment, we've got very wet conditions out there. In fact, it's one of those days I really want to get out for a run. Those epic windy type conditions that I really enjoy. Yep, I'm one of those people. The slats across the outsole work really, really well when those toes begin to bend at the end of your gait cycle there as you push off. Overall, I found this one a very controlled outsole. I feel it's going to hold up very well considering it's got the old Continental rubber there. We know that it's dependable. It's like when you're trying to move house on your own and then your best buddy appears out the back, ready to lend a hand without letting you know he was going to be there in the first place. James Kenyon, that's you. So an enjoyable outsole on both, but I can see the Adidas Boston 9 holding up better over time. Just seems to be a little less contact with the ground with that exposed midsole. Does seem to be the Achilles heel in the Hoka shoes. They just tend to wear really quickly. Some people have said they've achieved loads of miles out of their Clifton 6s, so I'm hoping that this one will prove me wrong over time. I'm just loving the grip on the Boston 9. Value now. So there's actually a very small price difference between these two shoes, which I found quite odd. £120 for the Boston 9 and £125 for the Clifton 7. But which one presents the better value, you may ask? In terms of versatility and broad appeal, I think it's very much down to the type of runner that you are. I think those with a wider foot will undoubtedly need to try out the wide version of the Clifton 7. Even with my narrow feet, I do find it's a little bit narrow towards the ball of my foot. More in terms of width than anything. Changing around the sizing isn't going to work for you, it just makes the shoe longer. I'm right on the borderline with that one, so do beware. The Boston 9 isn't as narrow up in the toe box, but I did find the arch more present in the Adidas shoe. For me, I think the Hoka Clifton 7's a little less versatile of the two shoes. Those looking for a shoe where they can pick up the pace when needed might want to opt for the Boston 9. I think those wanting a wider landing platform could reach for the Hoka Clifton 7. To me, the Hoka as a daily shoe seems a little bit more expensive than some of the other competitors. If we think about the Nova Blast from Asics, perhaps the Beacon 3 from New Balance, or even the Pegasus 37, they're all a little bit cheaper than the Clifton 7, so just something to bear in mind. I think though that the Adidas Boston 9 presents a far better value shoe at this moment in time. Value is undoubtedly a chief concern of many runners right now. We live in an uncertain economic climate right now, and value is undoubtedly right at the top of people's priority list. So what do you make of these two shoes, guys? On paper, they're actually quite different. Very similar price point though, which confused me. If you've got either of those two shoes, let me know your opinions and your thoughts down in the comments. Musical interlude for you. Back on the Apple Watch yesterday, I put The Messenger by Johnny Marr. Really is one of my favourite albums, probably of the last 10 years. Upstarts is one of my favourite tunes. Never get bored of listening to that one. The paces on this album as well, of the songs, just seem to fit really well with a running type motion. The BPMs are just right to keep that cadence just at the right level. Not too high, not too slow, just perfect. Still sounds as fresh as it did when it was released back in 2013. I do recommend you go and check out Johnny Marr's The Messenger. That's all for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in right to the end of the video. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications of when I launch those new videos. It helps the channel out a huge amount too if you give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD and I'll be seeing you